Hello and welcome back to the channel. We are here with another episode of Dark, episode 5. Finally past the midway point for this for the final season of Dark. Last time on Dark, a lot of sex and debauchery and unfaithfulness. Um, Interestingly, the one that, while it wasn't the most shocking because there were hints of that happening previously, the one that had the most impact on me would have was actually the relationship between Hannah and Egon. If only because, at least in part, because they just seem so very different. But of course, Egon had that discussion with his partner in the past, and I think someone actually mentioned to me that um, that may have been a relative, a Cornwall, one of the Cornwall's relatives. I'm not sure who. Yeah, I suppose it would have been what's her name, Inez's father potentially. So that's interesting, but yeah, I mean, I don't think he's in the right after seeing his wife cheat with Agnes. Of course, I don't, she's not in the right. He's not in the right. I don't think that response was the correct one. But it's just really sad to see how that how things fell apart and how it came about. And Egon, I'm a bit disappointed in him because while I didn't love older Egon, 80s Egon initially because of what was happening with him and Ulrich at the time. This Egon in particular, I just saw him, as someone just trying to do the right thing, albeit, not the best approach in all instances. Um, but he messed up here. Unfortunately, it appears it has, cost him his marriage. But Doris appears to have already been, not completely committal to their relationship in the first place. It may have just been one of those situations where, in the time, that seemed, her marrying him was just something that was expected. You know, the only, I don't know, having seen Agnes, I don't believe she cares for Doris that much, or at least the relationship doesn't appear to be on equal footing there, and that's the, which is, I don't know. I guess it's unavoidable. In some instances, that does happen. But it seems as though she's a bit more infatuated with Agnes than Agnes is with her. Um, yeah, yeah. So that was unfortunate. And of course, Egon is now turned to drinking, and I mean, bad parenting seems to be a running theme throughout Dark. Kids showing up, and kids leaving late hours of the night, saying very strange things, and parents having no questions. Egon now becoming a drunk. Yeah, and his daughter, I guess he raises Trant at this point, and as it brings us to Trant, the other major revelation in the episode, of course, which was the origin, which turns out to be Martha and Jonas's child, who is Trant's father. And then Egon ends up raising Trant, and I suppose because the Trant and Claudia grew up in under the same household, and Egon was so neglectful because he was such a drunk. You know, things happened under his roof that should not have happened. We saw some hints of that at the end of the last episode. So he wasn't as attentive as he should have been because he was, yeah, 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 not great. Although, you know, Adam doesn't appear to be so attached to the fact that his son is the origin, and undoing the knot would mean losing his son, but he doesn't seem to care much about that. His interest appears to solely be on, yeah, I need to save these people. But I wonder what about Jonas, whether he'll feel the same way or whether the stranger feels the same way. But of course, the stranger has no recollection of these events, so still no clue as to why that is. Why the stranger doesn't recall this. The only, as I've said before, the only other So the only thing I can think of, the only fact I can think of is whether this stranger isn't actually, the adult version of our Eunice, and he may be someone else. But I don't know. I don't know. So we'll see. We'll see. A lot of interesting theories, guys. So I'm excited. Episode 5. Let's check it out.
Warum sterben wir?
Yeah, Ragnar died in both worlds.
Ist der Zeitpunkt unseres Abschieds vorherbestimmt?
Yeah.
Und wir
We
sterben.
begin dying the moment we were born.
Gleichgültig wie unser Weg dazwischen aussieht.
Okay. She met Adam. So I guess he's told her that, this is where she'll always end up in the
Hast du
cycle.
dich entschieden?
What does he want from her, though?
Nur noch einen Tag.
Let's make a sacrifice of some sort. But can Adam be
Wirst du
trusted,
es zu
though?
Ende bringen?
Eva wird ihr Ziel niemals erreichen.
It's just the two deciding whose world needs to be saved.
Wir müssen los. Zum AKW. Wir haben nicht viel Zeit.
Jonas. Still following orders as usual. Where were you? My first question will be, who the hell is that coming out of your room at this hour? Who's the strange man coming out of your bedroom? This would be such a red flag as a parent, your child comes downstairs after being missing for a day, comes downstairs with a strange man you've never seen. She starts to cry, and yeah, I would have some questions. As a parent, I'm not letting my child leave with this strange person without getting some answers. I'm just not. Oh, staging a breakout.
5 Uhr Schichtwechsel. Sie hat eine Schlüsselkarte. Sie geht immer den gleichen Weg.
I do not want to be right about this. I'm guessing that route is going to be by the lake, where Jonas found the pendant. Look, I still want her. I prefer if you go back to the 50s and save me then. I'm old and weak here. I can't do a thing. Although I suppose it may be a bit more difficult to get him out of that, because in the 50s he's in prison versus a mental facility here. Security would definitely be a lot more difficult to get by.
Hast du jemals darüber nachgedacht, ob es möglich ist, die Zeit zurückzudrehen?
Where did this come from all of a sudden?
Groß geworden. Groß genug.
It's interesting that he believes this now, that it's not his, his place is here and now, while his old blind man town house believes the opposite, at least as so far as bringing people back.
Sind das meine Eltern?
Eltern. Das ist mein Sohn und seine Frau. Und meine Enkel. Als es passiert ist, bin ich aufgewacht. Unten im Laden war ein Geräusch. Da waren 2 Bündel in der Hand.
You know, Tannhaus has got to stop accepting gifts from people. People keep showing up at his shop, just leaving random things with him, and he asks no questions. But he said two women. I wonder whether that's why Adam went to see Charlotte. So she's, I suppose, both her and Ellie are the ones that delivered baby Charlotte to him, but baby Charlotte hasn't been born yet, at least not in our timeline. These guys should not have split up. They're all in separate locations. Why didn't they just stick together, knowing what they know? Oh, interesting. It's Mirror Claudia. Alright, so Ellie has the pocket watch. So it does make sense now. It means that she has it when she meets Charlotte eventually. And they'll both deliver the baby to Tannhaus, and she'll leave the pocket watch with her.
Wir haben sie nicht gefunden.
Just leave, Peter, man. Don't stay here. Leave. I mean, he knows what. I guess I don't know if he knows. He definitely doesn't know everything we know as the audience, but when he knows enough, why stay here? I can only imagine perhaps Claudia instructed him that he needs to
Was willst du hier?
in order to manipulate the events to happen, but he should not be listening to anything at this point that they've told him. Yeah.
Du hast gedacht,
I'm
das
sorry,
ist
but
ein Traum.
you look
das kannst
you
du.
look sinister.
Wem? Jonas. Beide Welten für immer auslöschen und damit den Knoten zerstören.
That's not what
Er
he
weiß
said.
noch nicht, dass es das sein wird, was er am Ende will.
So either she's lying or Adam is lying. Either Eva is lying or Adam is lying. 'Cause Adam said he wants to save one world, not destroy them both. Hey. This where she gets a scar on her face? Or down her cheek? Oh, okay. Is Jonas finally thinking that he's just moving things along in the direction that Eva wants him to?
Sie hatte ihn.
Finally, Jonas is catching up. Although maybe it's too late at this point. I don't think there's any way he can diverge from the path
Wie es
here.
überhaupt auslöst.
Yes.
Ich muss zurück zu Eva. Ich will endlich wissen, was die Wahrheit ist.
It's likely too late at this stage. He's just going along the same path, more than likely. Noah pop up inside. You're not Noah.
Warte.
I wouldn't be hesitating. Get out. Come on, Ellie, move. That usually means you should be scared. Get out of the trailer, Ellie. Where the hell is Noah? Isn't he supposed to be watching over her? I mean, he was told that certain events will happen, right? And that he said it to Peter himself that he will need to take care of her. He's got to be nearby somehow. Just take the food and go. Stealing my food is one thing, but he's standing there cooking it. And he's gonna eat it in front of me. They really need to find a new place. The windows are just patched up with papered over with plastic. Anyone can get it. Don't be a creep. Why must you be a creep? Just be a thief. Just be a thief. The entire town has already gone mad. Thank you. Get the knife. Come on, Peter. Peter's a psychiatrist. I don't think he's a fighter. Where's Noah? Where's Noah? I know he's nearby. Where the hell is Noah? Come on, Peter. Snap out of it. Your daughter needs you. Get up. I'm just realizing, yeah, he's gonna die. I mean, Noah said it before that he's gonna take care of her even after he's gone. Which means that bastard Noah is somewhere there. He knows it's gonna happen and he's letting it happen. So pissed. Mostly at Noah. Because he supposedly cares about her and he's allowing this to happen because he was told it needs to happen. I hate you, Noah. Should have just left town, Peter. Who's this? Oh, forgot about her. It's the first time they've been reunited in decades. It's longer for some than others. And they just got to reunite with them and just let them go. So I suppose they're gonna be the ones to deliver Charlotte. I'm just not sure where they're getting the baby from. At what point? I mean, it has to be somewhere between 2020 and 2052, but when?
Adam darf diesen Knoten niemals lösen. Du musst sie führen.
So at what point did she realize that this Claudia and Eva, were just manipulating her?
Wieder und wieder. Wir müssen den Knoten aufrechterhalten. Jonas, du wirst ihn leiten müssen und dich später gegen ihn stellen. Wir werden uns wiedersehen. In deiner Welt. Bald. Halt, warte!
So the notebook came from the other world. I know she has pent up frustrations and anger towards her mom for all the abuse over the years, but and see her killing her.
Was wollen Sie? Die Schlüsselkarte. Ich sie.
Just give her the key card. Why are you fighting her? You're just a nurse. Just give her what she wants.
Mama, lass das!
Hmm. That knife looked familiar. Is that the same knife that Noah used to peel his apple by the caves? Every item in this series appears to have an origin, so I'm just wondering. Right. Don't kill her. Don't kill her. Okay, she's moving. I don't think she's dead.
Ich bin nicht deine Mutter. Du kommst aus der Hölle.
Ah, man. Is it actually Katarina who dies? Thought it would have been the mom, but it's Katarina. Damn. And of course, the implications here are so far-reaching because we knew when we last saw her in the 50s, she was having an abortion. So when Katarina approached her and calls her mom, it's like it's just bringing back all these memories of the abortions that she's had, likely more than one because of what was happening around that time. It's been something she's been running away for almost the entirety of her life, and then she shows up and says, I'm your daughter," and says, "Mom." But she could have just called the police and said she was attacked. Because she was attacked, she did this in self-defense. I mean, the last part there, she didn't need to bash her skull into death, but she was attacked. And Katarina already has a connection with Ulrich, who's suspected of some atrocious things as well. So she didn't need to hide the body or anything. She could have just gotten the authorities involved and she would have been fine.
Mama, sag doch was.
Starts to drink to forget it. Lost the pendant. Yeah. Yeah, this is after she had sex with Ulrich, and then she gives her the black eye. And then Ulrich gets accused of rape. Not worthy. You got the name from Hannah, who's the worst of the worst. Yep, St. Christopher. Ulrich. I mean, he's either gonna feel as though he was left behind, or maybe he'll find out what happened if they eventually find the body. But for the moment, you might think she just abandoned him. Peter, Peter, Peter. Who is your mother, Peter? Poor Ellie. Noah, you bastard. Everything is where it should be. Okay, she does have the scar on her cheek, but that Martha doesn't have it just yet.
Jetzt! In meine Welt!
And the Martha from that went to 1888 didn't have it as yet. So something needs to transpire here. Same thing that Adam said. Right before someone died. So who's it gonna be?
Deines endet hier und jetzt.
Just like with Adam, I suspect she has to kill him. In the way that Adam killed his Martha. Where did she get the scar? The time between the two isn't that significant, so
Es tut mir leid.
yeah, I figured he's served his purpose at this point. A life for a life. But why? Why would she want or that Martha want the cycle to begin with? I won't even guess at what Eva's objective is at this point. I just can't see why they would want the cycle to actually continue. I would get them wanting to save their own world. It's giving her the pendant. You know what, Jonas? Just do nothing. Do nothing. All your actions are just continue to make things worse. You know what he needed to have done? He needed to have find himself a room. I don't know, maybe get himself arrested, locked up in a cell somewhere where he can do absolutely nothing that has no impact on anything whatsoever. Alright, everyone, there we have it, episode 5 of Dark. We're gonna have it's gonna be such an interesting conversation at the end of this series, and we finally have that inevitable talk about the linearity of time travel in Dark. So that's going to be quite interesting. Yeah, I spoke earlier at the very beginning about the relationship between Hannah and Egon, and what we were told in this episode about Dr. Tannhaus losing his granddaughter, or her being missing. But I mean, there's no child on my table that is missing. At least not a female. The only thing missing from my table is really Peter's mom. I think for the most part, everything else has been filled out. So, who is Tannhaus's granddaughter? I mean, I suspect that Peter may be Hannah's child. That may not be the case, but that's the only line that I can draw at this point in terms of what from the information that we actually knew at this stage. Yeah, that's interesting. I believe it's foregone conclusion now that Charlotte and Ellie delivers baby Charlotte, to Tannhaus at Adam's request, and I'm not sure whether we should be following Adam or not. I mean, I've said before that I think that is his objective. It is to save his world, but the world that he's saving is being called into question now because Jonas has now died. This Jonas, the stranger, is still alive, which means that this can't possibly be the same, or that stranger can't be the adult version of our Jonas. He has to be someone else, and Adam by virtue someone else as well. So, yeah, I don't think there's a third world though. I surmised about it at the very beginning, but beginning of this season, but I don't think that that's the case. Especially looking at the tree that we've been following between Adam and Eva. So I don't think there's a third world, but so there has to be some explanation for this. I mean, we did hear if I recall the conversation correctly, there was a conversation between the stranger and Jonas all the way back in season one when Jonas was attempting to bring Miko back, and he did say that if he brought Miko back, then he would cease to exist. And the only way that he would, I said it at the time, that the only way he could possibly know that is if he had witnessed it himself. But he can't have witnessed it himself because he would not exist. So where would he have witnessed that from? So there is some, I guess there is some possibility that he's not the same Jonas, or not the adult version of the same Jonas that we know. But I'm not so sure. So I need a bit more evidence to make that conclusion. I can't think of what the alternative could be, but there certainly has to be an answer. So we'll see. We will see. I mean, regardless of whether it's another world or not, his objective is quite clear at this point. At least I think so, because Eva is telling everyone else that he's trying to destroy both worlds, while he's saying that he's trying to save his. So I mean, that could be the third, and he's trying to destroy both to save his own. But the question is, who's telling the truth? But regardless, his plan seems to be the best one, because I don't understand why Eva would want her timeline to continue as it is. Continue the not as it is. Just the same series of events happening over and over and over again. What kind of life is that? Why would she want her friends and family and loved ones to go through that cycle? So I don't know. So for the moment, I'm with Adam on this one, because I don't see any justification for wanting to keep that timeline going. I'm hoping that, I'm still banking on Claudia coming in with a win here, because these two appear to be, they don't know. I'm hoping Claudia is the one that's straightened this mess out, because if left to these two, I don't think we'll come to the answer that we want to. They all seem to be blinded by their desire in one way or another, although Claudia is as well. But I'm hoping, I got the impression that old Claudia is had let go of all of that. She went to give her farewells to Egon, and she's been pushing her younger self to do the things that need to be done, but I think it's for a greater purpose. I'm hoping, at least, that at some point she realized that both Eva and Adam are, they have other objectives, and she's come up with a plan that to actually unravel the knot herself, and Agnes is actually on board with it, and didn't betray her last season. So I wouldn't bank on either Adam or Eva. I'm putting all my bets on Claudia at this point. Hopefully I'm right about that one. Hopefully I'm right. I was right about the coin, but I with Katerina, but I thought it would have been her mom who died, not her. But it turns out she's the one who died. Wow. So that bit I didn't see coming. I knew someone would die. I just thought it would have been her mom. And interesting, it's an interesting subject, because I know we saw in the last episode when Hannah met her, she was visiting the open doors to carry out an abortion. So it gives weight to the scene here when Katerina says mom to her, and in her mind, being as religious as she is, she's like, you're a demon from hell, because she knows she's had some of these operations, and she has lost some. So it's conflict. It's got to be conflicting for her, and clearly murder is not the right answer, but she's obviously been through a lot of abuse in her younger days because of what happened in the 50s, and with those children and the females in particular. So she's had several abortions, and for her, this is just something coming back, and it scared her, because when she said mom, it was It wasn't something so much as a look of disbelief as it was just fright, and she was genuinely afraid, as though something has come back for her, and that drove her to just keep bashing her skull in, because she's like, this is, you can't be here, this is not real. And yeah, she just killed her. I mean, I'm still questioning why she didn't just go to the cops, because I mean, that would have, she was attacked, she was trying to rob her to get the key card to free, Ulrich. So I think she would have been okay. But I suppose, her feeling that this is a manifestation of all her demons coming back for her, that she wants to discard it. She wants to hide it away so that the world doesn't see any of that. Of course, it's just going to eat away at her, and she just abuses Katerina. And funny thing that she says there, that that you're not deserving of the name, when she got the name from Hannah, who is not very deserving of much. Yeah. So that was brilliant though. A bit tragic what happened with Ellie though. And I hate Noah for it, and I blame Peter in part, because he could have left, chose not to leave. And I know there's this the notion that there's no free will, because you're in once you're in the loop, that's it. But we see characters making choices for or against something, so I don't know about that, but I know that's the premise of the series, so I'm working with it. But one, Noah didn't have to let that happen. He let it happen because his future self told him that needs to happen. But the fact that you can't claim to care about her if you're willing to let that happen to her, you understand? So that's I don't know, because he knows Peter was gonna die, because he was told Peter was going to die, but he knew that needed to happen to Claudia, to Ellie, based on what he was told, so that she becomes what she becomes, and then his daughter is born. But yeah, unfortunate. And as I said before, I don't know how long it takes for humanity to fall into complete depravity, to the point where they'll be willing to do something like that to a child. And I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and look to see how long it's been since the apocalypse, because how did you get from there to here this quickly? Maybe not. We've seen The Walking Dead. We've seen how long it takes humanity to become grotesque, and wither away. So I guess I shouldn't be too surprised. Yeah. So we lost Peter. Ellie's been through it. And I suppose, I mean, I don't know. For the most part, in the for this episode at least, I mean, what has been happening are things that we knew would eventually happen. It's just a matter of filling in the gaps. But we didn't see the stranger any at all this episode. We did see Martha, who was in 1888, when she stopped by Adam, and then she came by here. But now she has a scar, but there's no explanation as to where she got the scar from. So, yeah, we just need to know what the motivations are for the two main players, Adam and Eva. We've heard from both sides, but there's some conflict in terms of whether they're being truthful or not in what their objectives actually are. So, yeah, it's interesting, guys. I am loving it. Can't wait for the next episode. Be sure to post down below, let me know what your thoughts are on this episode. Hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys for the next one.